Hey boyos, my name is Thaladin, and I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for about 8 years now. And in those 8 years, I have had a lot of friends who came from World of Warcraft or who continued to play World of Warcraft who have told me all about this game that was super important to them, that was super foundational and fundamental. And I've always kind of wanted to play it. I was going to play Shadowlands despite being very in the loop on kind of the community sentiment, to put it lightly, regarding some of the changes in Shadowlands. But then the lawsuit thing came out, and I decided I would hold off for that. The reason I'm giving this background is because I want to make it really clear that this is something that I'm actually interested in. I want to play a World of Warcraft expansion at its peak when everybody is loving it, because I've always kind of wanted to do that. Final Fantasy XIV was an MMO that I've been playing for so long, but there was something about playing this really fundamental foundational MMO that I've always wanted to do. Today, on November 11th, Blizzard has dropped a preview of the 9.2 Shadowlands patch, Eternity's End, and I wanted to take a look at it from the perspective of somebody who's kind of wanted to get into World of Warcraft, but has been playing Final Fantasy for so long. So let's dive right into it and shoot over there. Some context going into this: I am fairly up to date on World of Warcraft lore and the story of Shadowlands, so I have some context for things. Some of the deeper stuff I'm probably not going to get, but I just wanted to, I know the stuff about Sylvanas and Zola. Oh, Jesus! Better.
The Shadowlands story pulls together threads that started in Warcraft 3 and wove their way through many of our expansions. We approached it like a drama in 3 acts. Now, as the third and final act begins of the saga, we need to stop the jailer from reaching his ultimate goal, which is to rewrite the rules of reality.
A saga in 3 acts? Is he saying that Shadowlands is a saga in 3 acts, like 9.0, 9.1, 9.2? Or is he saying that the entire Warcraft mythos has currently been in 3 acts ever since Warcraft 3? I played Warcraft 3, and I can see what he's going for here. I'm guessing you're saying that the first act ends with Wrath of the Lich King, maybe? Or are they saying that, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's going for there. I'm not sure if he's saying that the Shadowlands is, or if the entire expansion. Also, why do we need to stop Zoval? My understanding of Zoval's motivations is that everybody else who actually played the game also doesn't know what Zoval's motivations are. I know he's supposed to rewrite the rules of reality. Just my understanding is that nobody actually knows what that means, like what his actual plan is. But I mean, I guess players gonna do what they're gonna do. There's a big guy. They took off the bald head. They put on the cool armor, which identifies him as a boss. So players are gonna fight him.
Eternity's End serves as the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga.
Okay. So I think they are saying that it's like a conclusion to Warcraft up till now. Weird.
The jailer has the advantage. He has seized the sigils of the leaders of the 4 covenants.
We see Sylvanas realize that she's been a pawn in the jailer's game this entire time, and she refuses to serve him, and she's taken prisoner.
Sylvanas realize. So this is why I prefaced this with that I was up to date on the Shadowlands story. I've seen the cinematic, and I've seen Sylvanas, and I'm actually quite invested in Sylvanas' character. How did she not realize she was a pawn? Once upon a time, didn't Sylvanas have one brain cell and then another brother brain cell, and they would rub together to make a rational thought? I'm just airing old grievances. When I heard what happened in 9.1 and I watched the cinematic, I was just very upset. It's weird because it actually speaks to the power of World of Warcraft's lore. That me, somebody who has only ever been on the periphery, I played Warcraft 3, but I never really got into World of Warcraft apart from just spatterings of trying to get into it. That I'm actually invested in some of the characters. That speaks to the strength of this world. That me, who has played Final Fantasy, is still invested in this. It's actually it's very impressive, and also makes me irrationally angry at a game I don't play.
Jailer is able to open a portal to who knows where taking Anduin with him.
And the Primus had us take some time
His
to
beard is
retrieve
sick.
some new sigils.
Now we have gathered our forces. We are working with the Primus to open our own gateway to pursue the jailer to this.
Is there a point in the Horde and Alliance being separate anymore? I feel like I've heard that every expansion, they always, like, rise together to, like, fight a different threat. Is there really a point in maintaining this, like, factionality besides just that's the way it's always been? Let me know in the comments below, like, your opinion on that. Because I'm genuinely asking.
Realm unlike any we've seen before.
ZERETH Mortis. ZERETH
The Primus
Mortis?
opens a portal, and we come into this alien land. It's completely white, foggy. We're walking on water for some reason.
They can only make out some shapes, some figures there, some crazy devices
That's
and
pretty.
consoles.
Eventually,
that.
you make your way to a giant gate, and behind it lies ZERETH Mortis.
ZERETH Mortis. Okay, it is ZERETH Mortis.
ZERETH
sick.
Mortis was created by the first ones, and it is intended to create afterlives.
Think of it as being tucked away in the fabric of the Shadowlands itself. It's kind of the behind the scenes of these afterlives that we've.
Oh, okay. They have like a flowery, like flourishy biome, and then this like more desert biome. I wonder, do they have like a fiery biome as well, or is it just these two to like show the flow of like unlife to life? I don't know if I could put that better.
It's the land where the progenitors, the first ones who created all of the realms of the Shadowlands.
They look so
this
cool.
is their workshop.
They've created everything we've experienced in Azeroth and Shadowlands, and even realms we haven't discovered yet.
Good teaser.
These first ones built the universe, as far as we know, but their intentions or methods are completely unknown.
But of course,
The first ones built the universe as far as we know. That feels like okay, I'm being a little picky here. That does feel a little bit like, hey, 2 expansions later, we're going to tell you who actually created the first ones. Like, we're going to be like, yo, like, the super first ones made the first ones inside of this meta reality. That's just what that tone feels like. It feels like she could have just said that, you know, they created the universe and they later can reveal otherwise. It just feels like they're leading us to weird conclusions.
the jailer's presence here
He
is
looks cool.
disrupting this process.
He really does look
We're
cool.
working to push back against the jailer's forces
Unless his mask
and
is off, then he
protect
looks
this
kinda lame.
place.
I think the artists have done a fantastic
Pretty.
job. And I know they did a lot of research, and they looked at a lot of real-life examples of very strange places in the real world.
As a team, we were really trying to make this place as alien as possible. So we really wanted to make everything feel completely unique and
We wanted to make this place look as alien as possible, so the first thing we show you is a tree. I mean, maybe I'm being a little harsh. The first thing we show you is a tree, water, rocks, put a little bit of spheres in there. Ain't never seen that before. Ooh, actually alien.
completely different. Our trees here are floating. We have stones that are floating. We even have the massive Forge of Afterlives that is floating in
Forge of Afterlives, okay. Wait, they started talking about the floating trees as if that's what makes it alien. Wait, doesn't World of Warcraft already have, like, floating rocks and trees and shit? Don't they already have that in, like, Nagrand? I'm gonna find that. Okay, wait 1 sec. Yeah, here's Nagrand. Like, they already have floating rocks and floating trees. The only thing they don't have is floating water. And, like, the only reason I know about Nagrand is because this is my wife's favorite zone in Burning Crusade. Like, I remember her telling me about it, and actually, like, for the short stint I played, ferrying me over here just to show me around it. They already have... How alien could it be if this exists already in previous expansions?
Afterlives that is floating in the center of the zone.
And true to its name, it's something that is kind of putting together a new afterlife to be sent out into the Shadowlands.
Weird,
We
but I
have
like
this
it.
water all around you because water is really the catalyst for any kind of creation.
True,
It's
very
actually
creation
unlike
mythy.
any other water that we've seen before. This is
This is unlike any water we've ever seen before, boyos. Yo, you know, those losers down in Azeroth, they drinking Aquafina all day. They're sipping on that shit water. We got Fiji water up here with the first ones. Who knew the whole time they were holding out, giving them that basic convenience store water down to the people in Azeroth? The first ones, they drink the good stuff. Let me let the guy finish talking. I did cut him off like mid-sentence.
It's actually unlike any other water that we've seen before. This is actually water that we can walk on. It almost creates like a threshold between ZERETH Mortis and some other kind of more primordial space right below it.
Not to be that guy. Not to be that guy. But don't characters already walk on water in World of Warcraft? Is that your selling point, that you can walk on the water? Like, I know it's like only certain classes can do it, but don't they have water walk? Absolutely in shambles. Behold, now everyone can walk on water. What are you gonna do now? Oh my god, such a weird selling point. All right.
Everything you see in ZERETH Mortis has a purpose, an intention behind it. For us, it was really important to find ways to convey that intention in the environment itself. And one of the ways in which we did it was through this duality between a lush and a dry biome. In the dry biome,
okay, so it is just the two.
Perhaps what the original look of the zone was when the progenitors were first establishing this workspace for themselves. And in the lush biome, we see the result of their experimentation with plant life and fauna and things like that.
What this also does, it does show the flow of like the progenitors' kind of like work in like, you know, originating life. But it also kind of just shows, it connects the world with this is better. They didn't terraform something that was already livable and like other things were, there might be other things living there. I guess like people will find out when they play. But it seems like this is almost objectively better. It's easier for sustaining life. Sorry, I guess deserts are in shambles. I just insulted all deserts everywhere. But I think this paints the progenitors in like a very good light for the world. Like their contributions are in fact quite good for the world. Almost undeniably. At least that's the message that's being painted with this this duality. As somebody who has not that much clue about their lore.
These are all
I know I keep pausing. A stark difference between this and the way that we view older civilizations in Final Fantasy. I would say that most of the time, older civilizations in Final Fantasy XIV, we are very much exposed to their shades of gray early on. I don't know, without getting, I don't want to spoil too much, but I don't know if there's any like ancient race or like previous civilization that I would say was unambiguously good for the world.
All test beds for what we'll eventually see elsewhere.
From there, we started thinking about what kinds of creatures would be in this place.
Cute.
That are fundamentally prototypes. There's terraforming
so
here.
cool.
There's creatures that are building afterlives. We tried to really stretch and think what that might be like.
What a good boy.
My
These are cool.
personal favorite includes the giant armored snail, and we also have a progenitor chicken, which answers the question of what came first.
I like that chicken. I'm not gonna lie. I like that chicken. I would love to have that chicken as a minion. They're doing their players a disservice if that chicken is not available as a minion or a pet or whatever they're called in WoW, because that is fantastic.
These first ones who crafted ZERETH Mortis, what they left behind were the Automa, meant to take care of the place and make sure that it fulfilled its function to create afterlives.
The Automa have several different classes, and you can see this in their silhouettes. We have the builders, we have the...
An absolute unit. Look at this guy. Oh, he's so cool. He's an absolute unit.
Builders, we have the protectors, we have the casters, and each one of them have a specific role within the Shadowlands. And then you'll also discover the Jiro, which are a part of the Automa. They're a little more quirky, they have a little more personality, they are a little more sentient than the other Automa, so some of them even split off to pursue their own desires.
Unfortunately, when we found our way in, Devourers also found their way in. They are ravenous.
They're consuming this weird energy, and it's...
Good job, players. You guys led monsters into like the last sanctum of creation in the afterlife. Good fucking job. 10 out of 10. At it again. Players making the world a better place.
Causing them to mutate and to fall apart.
And the Automa, where they are confronted by them, some of them are fighting them off.
And so it's going to take some time for them to understand that we're here trying to help them drive out this threat.
Do they not have any context for the things and like that were created by the first ones? I guess everything was, but I don't know too much about that lore. But I don't know. Like, I guess I'd expect them just to be slightly more intelligent. It's weird to me.
Fortunately, we've got some allies. There are some enlightened brokers here that we're going to be working with.
But it's a broker that arrived here quite a long time ago and has had a change of heart from looking at the world as a very transactional place to seeing this place as a holy place, a sacred place.
Isn't that a big deal?
We meet an enlightened one named Fareem, and Fareem needs our assistance, and in return he leads us to Haven,
which is a hub that has been created out of progenitor ruins, and this is where the Enlightened really have made their home.
This is really sweet and cool. I like it.
Serves
it's creative.
as our foothold here, as well as use it as a base of operations and really start unlocking the mysteries of this land.
I will say, if you were trying to make everything seem alien, having all the animals be very reminiscent of animals that you'd see in Azeroth, maybe a bit of a miss, but it also makes sense because this is the first ones. So I don't know. It seems like there's like a little bit of conflicting ideologies there, but that's okay.
The enlightened brokers are intent on protecting and preserving the work of the first ones here, but now they're seeing Zoval bring his forces against the Atoma and tear up the land, and they are eager for assistance.
Or maybe they're like as intelligent as like the Allagan nodes are in zones like Azisla. Like, you can trick them through their own programming, but because they did say that the Jiro were slightly more sentient. Maybe that's our way in order to talking with them, and that, like, they're just that programmed. Like, that's why they don't recognize anything. They're just that programmed. Almost like actual, like, robots. I guess that makes sense. I just expected it to be, like, them to be a little bit smarter.
The brokers themselves are very ostentatious, they're very into materialism, but the Enlightened are not that at all. They have relinquished this material way, and you'll see this reflected in their clothes. They're a little tattered, they're a little faded, because it just isn't important to them anymore. They're just here for the pursuit of knowledge.
Cypher of the first ones.
When players arrive, they're kind of fishes out of water. And one of the first things that we have to do is start...
Or fishes on top of water because of the Fiji water.
Learning how to communicate with the Automa. Think of it as a kind of runic language, based in symbols.
We will bond with a small construct who's pretty cute, actually. And with his assistance and the assistance of Fareem, we will learn eventually how to understand the symbols through the cipher of the first ones.
That's actually super cool! Wait, that's actually super cool. Oh, that's such a good idea. I love it when games do this. I remember Final Fantasy X did this with the Albed language. There is nothing more satisfying than like going through and piecing together words and like translations and then being like, I finally understand you. It really builds like an intimate connection with the world. Oops, hit the mic. That's actually a really cool idea, especially if they make it exploration-based and they don't, like, time-gate it behind, like, reputation dailies or anything. I think if they make it, like, purely exploration-based, like, as you're doing side quests, as you're going around, it'll make it feel super organic. If they put it behind, like, reputation grind or something, I think it's still doable, but I don't think it has that same charm. It's just like, oh, I discovered something. I know a new word. No Man's Sky also does this super well.
Uncover different parts of this alphabet and start to learn more about the progenitors and ZERETH Mortis itself.
That's
cool. It will allow you to unlock new and different forms of content. So that can range from daily quests to new options on the vendors to places to explore and new side quests that open up. So it's really the gateway to exploring the far reaches of ZERETH Mortis.
I'm going to assume that means it's not behind daily quests or like reputation or anything, and that it's purely through exploration. If so, that's really cool, and it also is like really good for the community. Hidden things like that, depending on how they structure it, if you put those like runic symbols in different parts of the zone that require like a little bit of clever platforming or like a little bit of hit tucked away, it really encourages community engagement with each other, because somebody's like, I need this symbol, does anybody know where to find it? And they're like, hey, yeah, go here. And hopefully they don't say go to a Wowhead article, because that's not near as fun.
As we looked into the development of CYPHER of the first ones, we wanted something that was unique that players haven't seen before. A little bit of familiarity, but something that takes that to the next level.
We really involved the whole team in this creative process. We worked with our UI team to be able to represent those through text, through these things talking and seeing them on screen in chat bubbles and in our chat window. Little by little, these kind of runes start taking shape into words that we recognize. But it's
This reminds me a little bit of Eorzean script in Final Fantasy XIV, not because it's like really the same. I just wish that sometimes we would have something like this in Final Fantasy XIV, like where we go and we discover the language. I think this is a really cool idea, and it like really sets the tone for an expansion a patch, of Discovery really well. I would love to see Final Fantasy XIV do something like this.
It's going to be a process that unfolds over the course of playing through Eternity's End. The Automa speak in this kind of musical language. They don't talk the way that we mortals are used to speaking. The sound team was super excited.
That is really sick. And that's not just sick because it sounds cool, but it's actually sick because since these are like the creations of the first ones, the progenitors, they're also responsible for creating a bunch of stuff, right? Like they're creating afterlives. And there is an entire range of creation mythos that is that leans into this idea of the language of creation being music. You see it in Lord of the Rings, the Silmarillion. Creation started with the music of Eru Ilúvatar. You also see it in the Chronicles of Narnia. There was a song that created everything. Man, and it's not just that. Like there's a mythological theme of music and creation being intricately linked, kind of like the same way that water and creation are. So it does seem like the World of Warcraft team is kind of pulling from these mythological and literary devices in a lot of ways to create something really interesting in that regard. I think it's a nice touch. I don't think it like impacts too much, but I think it's a very nice touch.
They jumped in, they started prototyping all kinds of different sounds. We listened, we gave feedback. And we really
what
ended
is he
up
doing?
In a cool place.
Yo, he's just Jimmy.
As you're playing through and gradually unlocking the language, you'll be able to see those words that they're saying, but still hear those tones.
Interesting. Sepulchre the first one. This is what
Jailer's
Zovaal
true
wanted,
goal
right?
Has never really been to escape the Maw or to gain power. He's been focused on reaching this place called the Sepulchre, to go into this place of power and to really rewrite the rules of the universe.
Honestly, I have no idea why he wants to do this. If anybody has an idea of why he wants to do this, like I know he was imprisoned for being a like dickbag supreme, but like he's bald under that helmet. Maybe he just wants to unwrite male pattern baldness. Like maybe he looked at himself in the mirror one day and thought, the world doesn't have to be this way. And honestly, if that's the case, I would like to see a story arc where Zovaal gets what he wants. He gets the power to unwrite reality. And then he realizes it's not about how much hair you have on your head. It's how you wear the bald. But honestly, that is as viable a theory as anybody else has, as far as I'm aware. So
we'll learn that the jailer
watch
has
out for
breached
it.
the
It's
Sepulchre
happening
of
in
the
this
first
story.
ones, and this becomes our new raid for Eternity's End. We're going to gather our forces. We're going to pursue the jailer inside. Once you go inside the Sepulchre, there's some mind-blowing visuals. This is a place that should not be able to exist according to the laws of physics as we know them on Earth.
This looks super Allegan. Like, this looks super Allegan, and I mean that in a good way. Like, you have these, like, blues and oranges. You have this, like, mechanical motif over here. This sort of, like, future tech. I like this a lot. This reminds me a lot of, like, the Binding Coils of Bahamut, a lot of the other Allegan stuff that we've seen, which is hype. I really hope that they, that the WoW team is, like, expanding out, or maybe they just conceived of this. It's possible, but it has, like, similar color palette and everything. It looks good. I also think the Binding Coils of Bahamut look good. So this is, I'd love to see more inspiration taken from both WoW to Final Fantasy, which already happens, and then Final Fantasy 2 WoW. I hope that's what's happening here. Like, genuinely.
Azeroth, just looking out into this impossible sky of seeing these ancient works of the first ones, those laws don't apply to anything we see here.
That's cool.
Among the bosses that we're going to face in Sepulcher, the first ones include the Jailer's forces, maybe...
I don't know why. But this guy right here I just imagine that he's just like the guy who stands in the corner in the back at the party. Like, this guy's over there. He's like meeting with a couple of friends that like he was planning to meet up with. This guy came with him, but he's just like, you know, like a song comes on that he knows. He just like does a little dance with his little chain arms. I don't know what it is, but I know this entire being's life story right now.
A Dreadlord or two that you haven't tied up loose ends with. Will face a Consular. This is similar to a being
he
like
looks sick.
Algalon, but the Jailer's gotten to it and has infused his domination magic into the Consular. Before we get to...
Wasn't there something like, wasn't there a raid in like a place of the first ones where you basically fight somebody like that? Is that who he was talking about, Algalon? I don't know. My wife ran me through that raid one time on like a low-level character, and I thought it was some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. I thought it was fucking fantastic. Let me go ask her. I'm gonna go ask her what raid that was. Yeah, it was Uldwar, and I think that's the raid. I think that's the raid where that guy was referring to. Yeah, when I was starting up a character to get into Shadowlands, my wife ran me through that, and I just thought it was so cool. It reminded me the feeling of going through the Binding Coils of Bahamut, and getting into the final coil of Bahamut and getting like this big mystery about the world like unveiled. Like, it just felt very cinematic. It felt very interesting. One of the few experiences I've had in WoW, and it was very impressive. Her secret goal was to hook me on WoW with that, and it almost worked. So that's actually super cool.
To the Jailer, however, we need to get to Anduin first. Our hope is that we can learn whatever Anduin knows about domination.
Anduin's just like, what you gonna do? What you gonna... What a weird, awkward stance he has. I just like the little like wavy sword. Like, he's going for the Anka dance. Oh man, I love it.
Nation magic. We need to be able to resist it, or better yet, fight it.
This is cool. Progenitor tier set.
We know players have been waiting a long time for the return of tier sets, and as devs, we have too.
I have heard that a lot.
Of progenitor magic, golds, and metals, along with those class-defining silhouettes, wolves.
That actually looks hella sick, brother. Damn, that's styling. I like black and gold. Not everybody likes that color palette. I love black and gold. I think that looks good. All of these look damn good. Damn, I hope they look as good in game, because that looks sick.
For shamans, pointy things for rogues. It's gonna look amazing.
Our class and combat team was super excited to bring class sets back. This is something that felt really right for the story. We're in the final act of the Shadowlands saga. We're here.
Damn. How you gonna show this off and then go over to this? Like, he's got an axe for a head. What was that? It wasn't the Black Cauldron? No, it was the other one. The one with the lady that had the sword and the dragon, and there was the chicken with an axe head and the guy with the sword arm. You know what I'm talking about, that movie? That's what that reminds me of. If anybody knows that movie, tell me in the comments, please. And also, if you're enjoying this, this is my obligatory like algorithmic thing to tell YouTube, please like the video. Because YouTube. Yeah, I did. Try to dislike it, fuckers. They took away the button. Wait, no, they didn't take away the button. Shit, you just can't see it. Don't dislike, please.
Act of the Shadowlands saga. We're here literally on the brink at eternity's end. And what better place to fully unleash the power of these classes? And I think players will really enjoy the return of those class sets just as much as the team enjoyed making them.
I know that they were, I've heard a lot of people say that they want tier sets back. I don't know all the implications of it because don't play the game, but it's good to see the developers at least bringing back a fan favorite thing.
How do you make something that is mystical and magical and incomprehensible and yet understandable? I think we've done a good job of finding that line.
The team as a whole has been working so hard, and
you don't necessarily have to make it understandable, right? Like, I think that there are things that need to be understood, and then things that it's okay to leave hanging out there as part of the greater unknown. I don't think everything has to have a mechanical explanation. I think you get into some weird writing, like pigeonholes, if you hold yourself to that.
We are so excited to get this out for everyone.
We're gonna get new mounts, new pets.
A bit horrifying for me, but exciting for some is the fact that, you know, some of the spider mounts can now fly.
That looks cool.
Flying spiders, but
like
that's also going to be a cool thing for people.
We have updates to professions, to soulbinds, to conduits. There's a new dancing minigame in Darkmoon Faire.
One, I just realized me and like this guy over here, this Tauren over here, same face when they showed off this game, just like, actually this looks fun as hell. Also, this guy's like, I want him to be my grandpa. You know, like he's so cool.
I'm a story guy, so I'm super geeked about watching players.
Slight interjection here. It's good that they're adding like mini games to Darkmoon Faire. It's small things like that players enjoy that like augment their understanding of the world beyond like new zones that you add in.
Kind of piece together those little lore tidbits. That's what excites me as well.
I'm really looking forward to Season 3 of Mythic Plus. Tazavesh is getting split into 2 dungeons. If you're a raider, if you chase Keystone Master, if you're an achievement collector, there's something for everyone to do in this.
Shadowlands is like the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga.
You're gonna tell me that this man does not wish to unwrite his hairline? That he broke out of jail, went to achieve ultimate power, and he's not going to use that opportunity to give him like a sick do? Can't convince me of that.
Warcraft saga. And our team is already hard at work on the next stories to come. Can't talk about them quite yet, but when the time is right, we're gonna be really excited to share them with you.
Okay. Well, there we go. That was the preview for patch 9.2. Very exciting for me because like I feel like I come in here, I have some preconceived notions, right? I have like ideas because I've watched and read a lot of the community sentiment about Blizzard and World of Warcraft right now. I know that's not exactly in its best place, but it is really cool to see new content for a game, and at least from an artistic like design point and everything, it looks really pretty. And more than that, ooh, wait, real quick. Blizzard's really counting on that like-dislike ratio becoming invisible soon. Big yikes, that's really bad. But more than that, I think that I just want this patch for WoW to be good. Because I want this game that I've heard legends about to be good. I want it to be a place that I can go and be like, this is the game that I've heard about since I was in junior high. That I remember hearing like this older kid spent 8 hours raiding, and his mom, who was a teacher, was fucking pissed at him. That's what I want to go to WoW and have that experience. And I know that experience doesn't necessarily exist anymore. The world of gaming has changed. The way that games are consumed has changed. But if WoW is a good game, it will make Final Fantasy a better game. And if Final Fantasy is a better game, that will, I hope, make WoW a better game and New World a better game. It might even make Black Desert Online a better game, though I doubt it. I want these games to learn from each other because there's enough space in the world for both. If designed in a way that doesn't depend on FOMO, doesn't depend on tying people down with endless grinds, there's a world where people can play both games. And not just both, not just two, but many games, because the world is just a lot richer that way. So I'm not in this camp of Final Fantasy XIV where I think WoW sucks ass. Well, I think WoW sucks ass, but only because I've heard everybody who's actually played WoW tell me that. But I don't want WoW to suck ass. I want it to get its head out of the keister and become something magical again. But anyways, let me know down in the comments if you guys had fun with this. This was very different from anything I've done before on this channel. It's also a very fresh channel, so if you had fun, maybe drop a subscriberino. You can see more Final Fantasy content, or, more React Andy stuff. It's easy for me, guys. Being a React Andy, easy stuff. So, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya!